This is the long-awaited history of the Harley Davidson Sportster Part 2. So if you're new to the channel or happen to have missed it, go to the first part. I'll have it in the corner of the screen and down in the description. Our goal for this video is going to be 600 likes, so crush it if you enjoyed. And hey, you're probably wondering what's been going on. So I have a video here, and then also my wife got into a pretty gnarly car accident right after. Anyways, when we left off, we were talking in 1980. The XLCH was dropped after 21 years, while the newly designed XLS was taking the stage. 1981, the XLS would get some changes, buckhorn bars, shorty dual exhaust, and a new 3.3 gallon tank. And there was an optional 2.2, but not a lot of people went for that. The XLH, high compression model, shorter forks paired with a longer wheelbase. It was only like an inch and a half, so nothing too crazy. Then there was the Milwaukee edition. It was orange and black paint job to celebrate the quote rebirth of Harley Davidson. Only 804 were made, one for every dealership in the nation at the time, and one extra for the top 100 dealers. You can't really top that last year, but 1982 would try. It's the 25th anniversary of the Sportster, and to celebrate, they had some cool paint schemes for limited runs. Only the XLH and XLS would make it this year, with each getting a maroon and gray two-tone for the birthday bikes. The oil tank and battery would be repositioned to give it a smoother look, one that would kind of stay for the rest of its life cycle. Most notably though, all models would receive lower compression by adding a thicker head gasket, and they did this to allow for lower octane fuel due to the gas crisis. It's 1983 and we got some new models to talk about. First off, the XLX was made. It was a blacked out XLH with aluminum wheels, solo seat, 2-gallon tank, and this was actually the only year for the XLX to have dual 10-inch disc brakes up front. Up next, we have a new race bike model named the XR1000. It was using the XLX as a base with 9-to-1 compression, full aluminum engine that would be thrown into the mix, making 71 horsepower at 490 pounds. It had two 36mm Del Orto carbs, fueling this absolute beast of a bike. 1984 introduced really nothing new. All models, with the exception of the XR1000, would be converted to a larger single disc brake system in the front. 1985 would be the last year for the Ironhead engine. Production had slowed down for the anticipation of the new engine, but 1986, the year of the Sportster Evo, there was only XLHs now. Many people don't know this, but the first Sportster Evos were 883 and 1100. The XL 883 was the basic model, while there was also the deluxe package, adding spoked wheels, tachometer, passenger pegs, and a different seat. Only changes made in 1987 was the new XLH 883 Hugger. Fork tubes were shortened 2 inches, and they got new shock alignment because of the half-inch longer swing arm, as well as a thinner seat. 1988 brought some quality of life changes. There was new 39mm forks that would replace the old 35s. They were stiffer and added some stability when traveling at highway speeds. The new 40mm CV carb would become standard on every Harley, and most importantly, the Evo 1100 would finally be replaced by the 1200. Also to mention, there were like 13 color options this year, which was quite a bit compared to the 4 or 5 we get today. And the XR750 would make its return in 1989, well, the engine at least. There was 37 modified Sportster engines to be made that were like thrown into race bikes, 12-to-1 compression, big giant valves, and even larger carburetors. Hugger and Deluxe would still be offered, with the biggest change being the new air cleaner and aluminum intake manifold. 1990 was a slow year as well. The CV carb would now have an accelerator pump. The XR750 engines would no longer be produced, but the new XR engine kit sold well among racers and simple folk alike. And hey, no more 4-speed. 1991 saw the first 5-speed in a Sportster, along with a ton of new stuff. Rubber-mounted foot pegs, ignition modules, kickstand relocation, spark plugs, chain adjusters, and just way too much to say. Both the standard 883 and Hugger would keep chain final drive, but only the 883 Deluxe and 1200 models would get the new belt drive. 1992 was kinda lame. The Hugger got lower, the Deluxe got chromer. Nothing really special happened this year. You know what is special though? 1993, all Sportster models would receive the final belt drive. The next year in 94 was another small year. At this point, Harley was focusing on their new big twin models like the Road King or the relatively new Dyna, which I have a great video on, check that out later. Sportsters did receive all new wiring harness, primary cover, and shocks. By 95, the Sportster was the best-selling Harley on the road. An all-electric speedometer was added with a resettable trip meter. 96 birthed two new models, with one being my absolute favorite for the new XL1200 Custom. It had 21-inch spoke wheel in the front and a slotted mag in the back. Just made the bike look a little bit classy. The other new models was the XL1200S, or Sportster Sport. It had a slight power increase stopped by a dual disc, fully adjustable front end paired with the adjustable rear shocks. It was pretty much the same ones that you'd find on the DX Dyna Sport. 97, I looked so much to try to find any changes at all, and the only thing I could find was that there was a new head torque sequence from the factory. I literally tried, I'm sorry. And my favorite Sportster just got better in 1998. The 1200 Sport would bump the compression up 10-1, mixed up with a single fire ignition, dual plug heads, and the hot W cams used by Buell. 1999 though, it's the year of the twin cam, and for the first time ever, the Sportster Custom would come with standard forward controls. But hey, first, I do have to mention these videos take me a long time to make, so if you want to support me, hit that subscribe button and leave a like. I know I haven't been uploading lately, but yeah, making it through. I do this for basically pennies, and I work a full-time job, so this is just a hobby. But anyways, that's enough of the plug. Let's get back to the video. 2000 saw the first year with 4-piston brake calipers on all Sportsters, along with the sealed 3/4-inch wheel bearings both front and rear. 2001 was identical, literally there's nothing that changed, but I do want to say my first motorcycle ever was a 2001 XL883 Custom in Concord Purple. Wish I still had it, but Dynas are better. 2002 saw a new model, kind of. It was a XL883R. It was your basic Sportster with dual disc, a bright orange paint job, and a tad bit hotter cams. The tank decal is really cool though. I would venture to say it's a tribute to the XR750. The bullet style turn signals were also standard with like every Harley now, so there was no more like baseball sized blinkers. All Sportsters except for the 883R got the anniversary paintwork. 2004 though would receive some big changes. The 1200 Sport was no longer being made, which was pretty sad, but all engines were rubber mounted like the big brother Dyna. The 883R would be replaced by the better 1200R. Meanwhile, all other 1200 models would receive Buell XB style heads with the W cams, but the next year would definitely change the platform and add some new models. 2006 standardized electronic fuel injection on most Harleys, with select bikes, especially Sportsters, still having that CV carb. And for the new models, the XL1200 and 883 Low. 2007 was nothing but EFI, a new model called the XL1200N, or Nightster, basically just blacked out with a cool bobber aesthetic. Did I mention it was the 50th anniversary? Polished engine with dual gauges and spoked wheels. It's not my favorite Sportster, but objectively the best. 2008 brought in the XR1200, a new model in the Harley lineup, but it was only for Europe at the time. 92 horsepower, pushing a 515-pound bike, black 3-spoke mags, sport-tuned 43mm inverted forks made by Showa, and similar shocks to the one you'd see on the Dyna Sport. 4-piston calipers on the brakes, and a tail section made of fiberglass. This was a fast bike. Some reports are showing a top speed of 136 miles an hour on a bone stock one. I kinda would like one. 2009 was peak recession. There was two new models that would be introduced. The XL883 LP, that's a mouthful, and it was just a police version of the Sportster Low. This would also be the first time the XL883 Iron was available. It was blacked out like the Nightster, but had a lower stance with fenders that were closer to the tire. The XR1200 we mentioned before was now available in the United States, but limited to only 750 bikes. 2010 didn't really add anything new, with the exception of that XR1200 changing to the XR1200X. The next year, 2011, it did have some new models though. It was the last year of the 883 Low, which would be replaced by the Super Low, and you can guess, it had a even lower seat height, more travel in the suspension, and smaller wheels. Beyond here, the history is still pretty relevant, and not a ton happened, but we're gonna skim past a little bit of it. 2012 saw the classic Sportster 72, which had some amazing paintwork, mini apes, and one of the only models to come with forward controls, made to kind of look like the bikes from the chopper eras, and personally, I think they look pretty solid. 2013 was much of the same. And over the next 7 years, not a lot would change, but the models would dwindle. By 2019, there were 9 Sportster models to choose from. By 2021, there was only 3. You see a lot of these on the road today. The 883 Iron, 1200 Iron, and the Sportster 48. The next year in 22, the last Sportster would be manufactured. The classic cruiser you all know and love was done for. Whether you love him or hate him, you have to admit it was sad to see it go. Through 65 years, 53 models, and countless memories, the Harley Davidson Sportster is many people's go-to bike, and many of your first bike. By far the most versatile Harley around, and will be a staple in Harley's legacy for years to come. Thank you all for watching, and I just have to say it again, you guys crushed it with part 1. And again, I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploading, but I have a life too, and sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But comment below what you guys want to see next, and don't forget, ride safe. I'm not going to say ride hard, because just don't. Just ride safe out there. See y'all in the next one. Take care.